and go, why are you copying me? I know it seems weird, but it's really important that you mirror that back to them, and that person will just have that connection with you straight away. So we're copying the person's speech patterns, we're copying the person's physical mannerisms. Also really important to use their own language. This skill is great in job interviews. If the person interviewing you uses a word more than twice, you can be really sure that that person is looking for that quality. So if you're a business manager and they use the word entrepreneurial more than once, maybe 3 times, you know that they're looking for someone with an entrepreneurial flair, and then you can base your answers around that. This is the same skill. You need to hone in on the words that they're using towards you and use them back to them, exactly the same words. So now we're going to practice this in an exercise. We're going to get you into pairs, and you have person A and person B. Person B is the one who is going to actively build rapport with the other person. So person A starts off the conversation. They can talk about whatever they like, favourite food, favourite holiday, sports team, soap opera, whatever you like. But you must involve the other person in the conversation. And I know that you'll be an expert at this because you'll be asking them really good questions to involve them in the conversation. So person B, you need to listen to that person A, listen to their tonality, look at their body language, mirror their body language back to them, and use the sort of words that they're using back at them as well. And just slowly get into the rhythm of that person. If they sit back, then sit back. If they're in a relaxed conversation. If they're intense and leaning forwards, you should be intense and leaning forwards too. You should mirror them exactly. And person A, maybe you're 2 or 3 minutes into the conversation, and you know that you can see that the person's doing a really good job at building rapport with you and matching your body language and matching your tonality and your language. Just throw something else in there for fun. Throw in a different gesture, throw in a different move, and change your position just to keep them on the ball. So have some fun with it. It doesn't have to be serious, it can be light-hearted. Really good practice. Once you've done it for about 5 minutes and person A has put person B to the test by changing your body language and maybe even changing his tonality just to keep them on the ball, then once they've got that nailed, you can swap, go ahead and have another go and swap it so person A is now matching person B. So have a play with it, have about 10 or 15 minutes, but really have fun. And then if you really want to go to town on it and you've got the time, swap partners. So you're doing it again with somebody else. So you can take as much time on this as you want. Such an important skill, I would say spend as much time as this as you absolutely can. So now that you've practiced it in the room, in your comfort zone here, I really want you to practice this up as much as you can between now and the exhibition. Really think about it. Just when you go and buy a coffee off someone, when you have a conversation with someone in the street, just try and build rapport with them. You'll find that people gravitate towards you. They're more likely to listen to you and engage in that conversation with you. Because I really want you to get to the stage where when you get to the exhibition, it's not the first time you do it. So hopefully this is 3 or 4 days before your exhibition that you're doing this training package. So between now and then, build rapport with people. Do it with your wife, do it with your husband, do it in the pub, do it anywhere you can to practice it. And I guarantee you, and I know this is always a concern, that people will think, what people will say to you and say, why are you copying me? Guarantee you it won't happen. And that way, when you come to the exhibition, you'll be doing it naturally. I wouldn't say that you'll be doing subconsciously, because I really want you to consciously do it, but you'll be doing it practiced and you'll be skilled at it by then. And you'll find it's a really, really valuable skill for the broad spectrum of people that you'll be talking to. Every single one of them, you'll change your approach and you'll be able to build that connection with them, and hopefully you'll have a lifelong customer out of them. Module 5 is qualifying prospects. Now, I'm always really careful with this subject. In fact, I was really in 2 minds whether to put in a section about this at all. Because a lot of time qualifying prospects in the mind of exhibitors tends to be just writing people off as time wasters. And in one part of me thinks, no one's a time waster. Everybody can buy. Everyone is important. But I think it's important that we qualify people in a very positive way, rather than just easily writing off people as time wasters. Actually, let's qualify them quantitatively. This person's really good prospect. This person's a quite good prospect. There's a slim chance this person might buy. So that way we're actually doing it in a positive way rather than just drawing a line through people as we're talking to them. And actually I think that a lot of times that people write prospects off as time wasters, actually it's because they haven't built up rapport with that person. They don't have rapport with them, they're finding them hard to talk to, and actually, do you know what, I'm sure they weren't going to buy, I'm not interested in that person, and off they go. And you know what, actually you turn that person around, you connect with that person, you could have made a sale. So to qualify someone, we need to have a really good understanding of their potential buying power. Now bear in mind, this is going to be really different if you're at a consumer show and you're selling, you're introducing a new product or a food item into the market. That's going to be very different than if you're in a business to business environment. Now the way that we qualify prospects will really change depending on the type of business that you're in. A consumer fair with a low cost impulse purchase that you're selling, you're going to have a very different way of qualifying your prospects as if you were in a business to business environment and you're selling millions and millions of pounds of stock at a time. So we're going to do a quick exercise on that now. So when you've paused the tape, I want you to, I think as a group in the whole room, discuss what you need to know about a prospect for you to qualify them to make a purchase with your company. And only you'll know this because only you know your business. So do you need to know how high up they are in the company, what their job role is, or you need to know if they're in the market to buy a motorbike, if they've owned a boat before. All those sort of questions you need to be asking, and it's only specific to your industry. So discuss what it is that you need to get a really good qualified prospect in front of you. Okay, so now that you know what you need to know, the next section of that is you're going to write down how it is that you're going to get that information out of the person. What questions are you going to ask them? You're going to ask them, oh, what job role do you fulfill in the company? How long have you been with the company? What you really want to do, and you might not want to ask outright in the business to business side, is do you have the authority to buy? But you're going to have to, you can't just ask them that because they might be offended. On the consumer side of things, if you're selling boats at a boat show, ask them if they've already owned a boat. If they own a boat now, you'll know if they're serious then. If they've never owned one, they might be just popping around to look at the shiny boats. So write down as many questions as you can that will help you to find the information that you've already written down that you need to know about someone to find out their buying power. So now that you've worked out what information you need to get and you've worked out how to get it, now what do you do with that information? Well, the first things first, when you're talking to a prospect and you've qualified them, you know they're really good, you know that you're going to give that person your time. And maybe he might be worth a cup of coffee, so I would suggest getting him some coffee. And just on a side note, if you're making people coffee, don't serve it in paper or plastic cups because they can walk off and take that coffee elsewhere. You serve it in a china cup, they'll feel that they're obliged to stay there to finish their coffee before they move on. So the other thing that you can do is you can signal to the rest of the team that you are talking to someone really important. You can have a hand gesture. I suggest hand on the hip or hand in the pocket on the left hand side that you all know means you're talking to someone who's really good. That way the senior salesperson or the MD or whoever's around can hover nearby, and then that way you can make that introduction. Because if you've got that really hot client and you want to give them to the highest person in the company so that they can talk to them and they'll make them feel more important and you're more likely to get the sale out of them. So simple hand gesture that everybody knows.